Moto Z4 disconnected.
Hey folks, it's Jerlene and I'm live. I'll give it just a moment. Jerlene, I'm live from Long Beach. All Politricks are local. Yes, I am a little bit late. Was having some technical difficulties. For some reason, was getting some feedback. I don't know what that was all about. But anyway, I'm here. It's Sunday. It's Sunday, May 15th. All Politricks are local, live from Long Beach. I'm Mama with a voice, not afraid to use it, and just going live to talk about some local politics and what's going on as we get closer to June 7th, to election in June 7th. It is going to be a statewide election. We have local elections that are taking place. We have a city council, odd number district city council first, 3, 5, 7, 9. We have odd district school district areas, 1, 3, 5 that are up. We have candidates that are, some folks are rerunning for election, and we got a whole bunch of new folks running for election. The item that is sucking up all the air in the room lately has been the mayoral race. So hopefully folks have had an opportunity to go out and meet and greet some of these candidates. So for tonight, I did do an invite for people to come in and join. So like I said, I did an invite for people to come in and join, and only, but hey, I'm all about who's in the room is who's supposed to be in the room. Only 2 people are joining us tonight. I did share a link out. I'm going to share a link out right now. Let's see. Let's put this out there. So if other folks want to join. So if you're watching, it's Jerlene. I am live from Long Beach. All Politricks are local. Have a few guests tonight. It's going to be an easy conversation. I'm not going to ask too many hard questions, but I do have one candidate from the 7th district race, and I have one candidate from the mayoral race tonight that is joining. And like I said, I put out an invite for people just to come in and join, just to be in discussion, just to be in conversation. Hopefully other folks will either join tonight. I plan on doing this at least once a week up until we get to the election, so that people have have an opportunity to see candidates in different spaces in different places. Okay, so before I go into that, let's see. Let me check. I got some. So let's see. Josh, I see Josh Rodriquez just put a comment. Would you like to join, Josh? Would you like to join? Give me just a second. I dropped a link. Let's see. I'm going to drop this again. Give me a second. All right. I hope everyone has been enjoying our weather. It's been quite interesting. It feels like we're in the middle of summer and it's barely the middle of May. So I turned off my fan. I had my fan on and it was I turned it off so there was no feedback. So anyway, all right. I just another candidate's going to be joining us. So just a couple things. I repeat. Jerlene, live from Long Beach. We have an election coming up on June 7th, statewide election, but here locally we have city council, mayoral, assembly, congressional, and school board seats all up for election. I'm going to allow these the candidates that are joining us to chat for a little bit. And then after that, I'm going to talk about some of the other things and observations that I've had chance to things that I've observed. But politics are getting kind of yucky lately. The one thing that I noticed, there's something that's happening, is we have theft of signs. We have vandalism of signs. I even received a call today from a candidate that was out walking the neighborhood that saw ballots laying on the street. Actual ballots laying on the street. And I asked for the location and I went out and I saw a couple of them myself. actual just ballots ripped out of the envelope. I saw some unopened ballots thrown over in some trash cans in one of our districts. So I have a lot of questions there. It's really interesting, yet something afoot is going on. So anyway, while we're waiting for another person to join us, I'm going to bring on our guests. So we have Carlos Ovalle. And what I've done is we have Carlos Ovalle and Deb Mozer. So what I've just asked, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to bring them on camera or bring them on screen. Hey, Carlos.
Hey.
Hey, Deb. Okay, so I think some of the feedback is coming from Deb. So Deb, I'm going to keep you on mute until it's time for you to chat. But what I've done, like I said, this is open to, and if you saw my announcement, I said, I invite any candidate that has not blocked me. So I've only been blocked by one candidate. So of course that candidate can't be invited. And, if they got to block me, which I know, but I'll talk a little bit more about that. So Carlos, thank you. I've had an opportunity to chat with you online before, and you told me you were not running then. So I got some questions for you regarding that. But what I would like to do is just take just a moment, tell people your name, what you're running for, and without taking up too much air, why you're running. And then I'm going to go to Deb.
Okay, well, Carlos Ovalle, resident of Wrigley for the last 50 years, more or less. And I decided to run because I and my fellow neighbors were not very happy with the way things were going in the district and in the city. As you may know, I'm a co-founder of the Long Beach Reform Coalition and People of Long Beach and our struggles with that. So that's it. I can't hear you.
I said, that's it?
Oh.
I wasn't expecting you to stop that soon. Okay. I was waiting for you to say, wow, I'm kind of impressed. So, Deb, I'm going to have you come in the same thing, your name, what you're running for, and why you're running.
Okay, thank you. So, thanks, Jerlene. I'm really glad that you invited me. My picture is muted because I've been sick for the last 4 days. That's what's wrong with my voice. So, but I'm really glad to be able to join you this way. I'm running for mayor, and I lived in Long Beach 20 years. I'm a Southern California resident my entire life. I have a background in commercial finance and film production. And I do event productions as well. And I first started getting interested in Long Beach politics in 2016. And I was hearing what people were saying was going on. And I just didn't believe it. I really didn't believe it. And so I looked in further, and I used my investigative skills and my forensic accounting background to actually, look into some of this stuff and see what was really happening. And I was astounded by the corruption, mismanagement of funds, the lack of transparency, and the fact that the people seem to be totally left out of the process. So in 2021, Mayor Garcia made a flippant remark that he wasn't going to let us know if he was running or not. So on April 20 of 2021, a year ago, a little over a year ago, I filed paperwork to run for mayor. This is my first run in public office. And the reason I filed early was because I wanted to let everybody in City Hall know that this was my intention. And I wanted to have time to learn the process. I'm kind of doing this very grassroots. I'm self-funded. And I knew I needed to have some time.
Okay. Well, some of the things and you actually started to tap into some of the things I'm going to ask you about in just a few moments. Okay. So thank you for your introduction. It does look like someone else is going to join us as soon as they get into the studio. I'll bring them in. But one thing I did want to do, and I got my delay and technical difficulties. I got ahead of myself. So I don't know if you've been paying attention, and this to, you know, people who are viewing right now, and to our guests, we've had some incidents of violence that have taken place in our nation. And what I do want to do, I do want to stop for just a moment, and I want to ask just to take a moment of silence for those that lost their life in Buffalo, New York. And there was also an incident in Milwaukee. I believe about 20 people were shot. I don't know what how many people lost their lives in that. And then I know locally here in California, there was a shooting today in Laguna Woods. I don't know what the update on that as far as like if there were any casualties or anything, but it doesn't matter if there were deaths or not. I mean, there were incidents of violence. So I'm just going to ask just to take a moment of silence. And so, you know, Carlos and Deb, I know you're here on camera with me. If you can just join me in a moment of silence. Thank you for just honoring that. And anyone that's out there, I know, you know, having these different conversations about politics or whatever it is in our nation or in our city, there's still so much that's going on around us. And I think for me personally, it's kind of like a balance about, you know, what's important. How important is this when someone has lost their life, you know, for us to keep going on as normal and stuff. And I know for me personally, I struggle with it. And even with thinking about doing this commentary is like, is this even relevant? Does this even matter? So again, thank you for, you know, Carlos and Deb for joining. So I'm just going to ask some questions. So Deb kind of jumped in, and she shared that she had made a decision in 2001, had made a decision in 2001 to be part of this election. What has your experience been for both of you? And Carlos, I'm not done with you, Carlos. When I connected with you last year, I asked you if you were going to run, and you told me you were not. So when did you decide that you were going to run? And since you've been in this election, how do you feel about what you're experiencing right now? Okay, just like what do you feel right now? How do you experience? What are you experiencing?
So, you know, it's very different to be a community advocate or a community activist, and working on issues outside of a hard set of rules. You know, sort of working from the outside and not being bound by those rules is substantially different than being a candidate and being bound by those rules. As a new candidate, it's I've found it a little bit onerous, particularly in a self-managed campaign. But you know, it's been a learning experience. I feel really good about the way things are going. I didn't launch fully into the campaign until fairly recently, but I have had a lot of involvement in the community. I'm not a newcomer. You know, I've been involved in issues of the environment and transparency and accountability, and you know, my name is fairly well known. I think you know, outside of the campaign, prior to the campaign, but you know, which is why I decided to run. Initially, you know, I'm 64 years old, no spring chicken, and in fairly decent health, all things considered. But I was really pushing for a candidate to come up who is younger. You know, someone with a lot of energy, somebody that can appeal to the youth voter. I think you know, I forget what the statistic is, but I think that you know, as the youth have are less a less percentage of our youth are registered voters, and even far less actually vote even after they are registered voters. Whereas those of us who vote more often are boomers like myself, you know, people in their mid to late 60s are, you know, And frankly, those of us my age are fairly conservative in many ways, socially and fiscally, and so I was really hoping to be on the election supporting someone, a youth, especially someone of color. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and so here I am. Somebody has to do it. It's a dirty job. Somebody has to do it, and so I decided to just fully jump in, and here I am.
Okay. Thank you. Deb, before I, are you comfortable chatting? Because I know you're having some
Oh yeah. I can
scratch
chat.
issues. Okay, so
As
before I
long as
have
you
you,
guys, as
okay,
long
so
as you guys
before,
don't mind.
okay, so before I pull you back in, I am going to bring on Josh Rodriguez. Hey Josh, thanks for joining. So before you got on, I had just asked Carlos and Deb to just take just a moment, just a really short moment to introduce yourself. Tell us, I'm a classroom teacher. Tell me what your name is. Tell us what you're running for. And as simply as possible, tell us why you're running.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Rodriguez, like Jerlene said. Thank you for having me on, Jerlene. I'm running because the city was looking at firing 40% of the police department. That would have been 300 officers. And I thought that would have been a tragedy and a really stupid move on the city's part. So that was predominantly the reason I joined into this race.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna come back to you. Deb, since you've been running, I know you started to share that you got in early so that you can, get into the groove of things. Since you've been in this race so far, like what are your observations? How are you feeling right now? And I'm like really like that fuzzy stuff. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, well, I'm actually feeling pretty good. Very good, I think. I think I'm doing a good job. This is a new experience. There's no owner's manual. So I'm just kind of winging it. Please excuse me. I'm sorry. The thing that I think that has not discouraged me, it's actually enlightened me, and it's inspired me to keep going, no matter what, is the unfairness of the election system in Long Beach. The city incumbents get such an overwhelming advantage that it's really hard for anybody to come in unless you have $500,000. Now, and some of the things they do, I don't believe are ethical. I think some should be illegal. But Long Beach has an election code that allows for things like ballot harvesting and making it legal, and allows for a lot of things that really benefit the incumbent. So, for example, and Josh, I know you got this one too. We both agree on this. If you're running for city council, I think your fee is what, $600. But if you're running for mayor, for your candidate statement, right, in the ballot, but if you're a mayor, it's $6,300. So, that to me was, when I saw that, I was shocked. I'm like, why is it so much? You're doing the same exact thing. And it's designed to keep people out. And they put these barriers that are really hard to cross. And, that's really discouraging to me. So that's the part, but it's, and not really discouraging. That's really the wrong word. But what it's doing is it's really encouraging me, regardless of the outcome of my race. I'm not stopping. I'll run for city council in District 2. I'll work in the auditor's department if we are blessed enough to elect Dan Miles. I'm not stopping. I'm going to continue to try to help Long Beach and break it free from this crazy machine. Okay. So I actually feel really good, and I'm proud of myself for doing it.
Okay. So, can you all do something for me if you're able to change your names? I'm not sure how many characters it allows, but put what race that you're running for. So put Joshua Rodriguez or Joshua R. Mayor, so that if people see this, they know what races that you're running for. So we have someone else who looks like they joined. Oh, well, I thought someone else has joined us, but I guess they dropped off. Yeah, it looked like Rich had joined us, but he dropped off. So regarding what you just said, though, before I go back over to go back to Joshua, the rate, and this is what I recently learned, the rate is based upon the number of voters. So one of the reasons why the council one is less and the mayoral one is higher is based upon voters. Yet that is a very large funding for someone to be able to pay to be in this game, right? Yet I don't even know what all the costs that are associated with an election, like how much of this actually goes to ensuring that there's an election that takes place. So Josh, that's running for mayor, and you and I've had some private conversations. Looks like Lee Charley is back in, so I'm going to pull him in just a moment. And so Charlie, hold on tight for a moment. I'm gonna pull you in, Rich. Joshua, share with us, how are you feeling right now about this race? I mean, this is your first time running for office. What's going on for you?
So this race has been very interesting. Obviously, like Deb and I agree on this. We were handicapped from the beginning of this entire race. And not only did the other candidates fundraise for the longest amount of time, last year they already knew they were running for city council, and they were able to transfer that money into their campaign for mayor. Again, I'm not asking for money, and I don't want money, because I think that's the problem with our elections system right now, is that money's controlling everything. On top of the fact that we see the media bias, and we know who owns the media avenue. So LBPost, owned by Garcia, very influenced by him. So they pretend that we're what's the face for? No,
no, keep going.
Okay. Anyways, we see that the media is selectively picking two candidates, and they just want to make it a race about two people because of money. And we have special interests, we have unions, and again, the unions weaponize that money against regular candidates like myself and Deborah, Franklin, and Raul. And again, it's taxpayer money being weaponized against people that are actually trying to, make a better Long Beach. And so it's become a real problem. But other than that, I'm doing what I can as a grassroots candidate, and that's all I can do.
All right. So I'm about to bring welcome Lee Charley. And I call you all kinds of names. I call you Lee, I call you Charlie, I call you Rich. Tell us what's the name that you actually have on the ballot statement. And again, tell us what you're running for, and just take just a moment, your name, what you're running for, and why you are running. And I'm unmuting you now. At least I'm attempting to unmute you. There you go.
I'm trying to put me on cam. Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to put me on cam. Do you see me?
I see you.
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah.
I just want y'all to know, when I see Rich, even before this race, like always smiling, always excited, always full of energy, a little hyped up a bit much at times. So anyway, go ahead, tell us your name, what you're running for, and why you're running, and be still.
Yeah, I put my Zoom camera, so we're good, because I have some displays to show you. I have a lot to show you.
I'm not sure we're gonna be able to get to those, but your name, what you're running for, and why you're running.
Okay. Good, and I called the police, and they're working on our situation as we speak. But Lee Richmond Charley, District 1, City Council, and I am running for District 1 against the incumbent Mary Zendejas.
Okay, and why are you running?
Well, let's see. Poverty, crime, no parking, corruption. There's zero representation. These everything on her mailer that she said she's already solved. All 9 of these reasons.
We're not going to talk about the opponent.
Okay, so veteran lives matter, homeless lives, the LGBT issues, crime, parking. Name any issue in our city. It's overwhelming in District 1 because we face it all. We have the downtown district. We have a sinking Queen Mary. We have the diesel death corridor. We have a $2 billion tourism industry. We also have 9 neighborhood associations. that Washington neighborhood is just always being underserved. We have, I've seen about 7 shootings right off my patio on Veterans Day. This guy opened fire on a market with an assault rifle, and I was getting out of my car. I've had it. I've had it. And I'm tired of the photo ops, the District 1 check-ins that are hogwash. You want to name it?
All right, Lee.
So I'm running. So I'm running for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, you're passionate, and that's one thing that I've noticed about a lot of the candidates. That I faith in the Democratic. Makes me want to have faith in the democratic process, although I believe that it's a little bit flawed. So I'm gonna ask you, because I've asked, Deb, Carlos, and Joshua, how are you feeling right now about your experience thus far? Rich?
I'm pretty angry, frustrated. The police found 20 more ballots in the trash can about 30 minutes ago.
So what Rich is talking about, you all, since Rich has just kind of advanced our conversation right now, it was noticed today in District 1 that there were ballots that were kind of strewn in the street. Some of them had been ripped open. There were unopened ballots in trash cans, as well as unopened ballots in other places and spaces. So I actually did speak to Rich a little bit earlier today about that, and my recommendation was a couple things. One, to inform the city clerk of that, as well as it seems as if in the 1st district there are some mail theft that's going on, mail theft, and it even seems as if there may be that the postal workers may not be properly putting mail in some of the mailboxes, which has resulted in piles of ballots being left outside of buildings and outside of mailboxes. So yes, unopened ballots in the trash. Rich is taking some steps to make sure that the proper people are informed, one being the Postmaster General. So we're not going to talk about too much of that. Although I'm going to ask Carlos and Deb and Joshua, have you noticed any of those things when you've been out and about in community?
In District 2, yeah, I have seen that. Not to the degree in District 1, but yeah, I have noticed it.
Okay.
Same thing that I saw. Yeah.
Okay. What about
I
you?
haven't seen anything in the 7th district. However, I've put a lot of thought into this issue because, as you know, I'm an architect, and one of the things that I do is I check plans to ensure compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, civil rights legislation, and we have a huge stock of rental properties in Long Beach, particularly the entire western half of Long Beach is where the majority of our renters live. Many of them in older stock buildings that are not in compliance. And so what happens is that most of those renters in these older properties are people of color, poor people, poor workers, and we end up suffering the consequences of poverty is being deprived of our right to vote. So what you're witnessing is because many of these older apartment buildings have mailboxes that are insufficient to hold all of this ballot information on top of all the canary box liners.
Okay. I only noticed it, one, because Rich did call me, and I did actually go and drive the street that he had shared with me. So I did see it for myself and did take pictures or whatever about it. Let's see. Josh, have you seen any funky stuff going on?
Well, I live in the 4th, and so I haven't seen any ballots out and about. People are pretty. People show up for the vote here in the 4th.
Okay. If you are listening and you have not received your ballot by mail, I do believe that there is a replacement ballot. There's a number where you call for replacement ballot, and also I believe voting centers are going to be opening up the last week of May, so you'll be able to go to a voting center. And unlike past elections prior to a few years ago, we had to go to a polling place in our area only. Now with voting centers, you can go anywhere in the county of Los Angeles to vote. You do not have to just vote here in Long Beach. You can go to any voting center. I personally prefer to vote very near to home, so I try to go somewhere that's near to closest to home to be able to cast my vote. Although I've always for at least the last 10 years, I have been what was called an absentee voter. That was when you had to opt in to receive a vote by mail ballot. But when we went through the pandemic in 2020, I'm not sure what was the legislation that was passed or whatever, but that was when all registered voters began to receive a mail-in ballot. So as I showed in previous conversations, I've showed the mail-in ballot, what it looks like, or I showed the sample ballot, what it looks like. I don't have my copy with me right now, but please check your mailbox. You should have a ballot in the mail. So I'm gonna give you all an opportunity to share just one salient point for you as far as running for office, and then I'm gonna send you all away. Yet I will keep it open for conversation, or even if there's a question that you may have for another candidate that is on, please, you guys can put it in the private chat, or we can have some cross dialogue. So anyway, what is one salient point that you may have not been able to get across as you've been going through meet and greets and in meeting with people? So let's go with Deb. Deb, what's one thing that you want to share with voters?
Well, I think the biggest point is the Queen Mary. Right now, the city is literally throwing her in a dumpster. And they're claiming that nobody's interested in them, but they are. But people are. They didn't even show up to the auction. And then they publish a report, an article that says, oh, we're going to throw them away because nobody wants them. I know 3 people that showed up and the city wasn't there. So they're lying. No, that's a lie to me. And they just really want to cover up the issues with the Queen Mary. They want to keep it off of, their side of the street so that nobody's going to judge them for it. And she's an icon of Long Beach. And now the city is literally dumping the lifeboats into the garbage. And I have a plan to stop that and restore the Queen Mary. It's one of my most important points on my platform. And because it's necessary. It's necessary. It's an image. It's an icon, and it's a third easily, right, Rich, of our tourist revenue. So it's an important part of Long Beach. And to me, it's distasteful that they're doing this. So I've been working for the last probably 8 months, putting together a group of buyers and not buyers, but financing sources. And I want the city to keep it, take it in, and operate it themselves. We need to have an Office of Historic Preservation or something that actually runs the Queen Mary and takes care of it. So that's my biggest point. I have a lot more. Big into economic development, but that's probably the biggest thing right now.
Okay, well, thank you, Deb. Thanks for just chiming in this evening. I hope that you feel better. I'm going to pull you off camera. I'll still leave you in studio. You can leave when you like, or you can just hang out in here. But thank you, Deb Mozer. She's running for mayor. Deb is all about saving the Queen. So thank you. So I'm going to drop you off the screen. All right, let's go with Carlos. What's the one salient point that you either have not had an opportunity to express or that you want to be able to share with voters?
I want to address an issue that was raised by both Deb and Joshua that is not specific to some of the issues that I've been discussing in my campaign or prior to the campaign, but it's campaign finance reform. A common wisdom is that 90%, over 90% of the time, the better funded campaign wins the election. So it is a complete fallacy to think that, you know, to have faith in our democratic system, because it literally means that the votes are getting bought. On the campaign trail, like canvassing, I've run across groups that are paid by special interests that are doing the things that I am doing in person, wearing out my tennis shoes. And but on the other hand, I continuously run across people who say, "Thank you for stopping by in person. We see that that the person on your flyer is actually you." And people are very appreciative of that. They haven't seen other candidates come by and do the same thing. So that's it.
Well, thank you, Carlos. And I said this before, you know, this election is not going to be won on social media. It's not going to be won on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. It's really going to be won by folks actually being out there, being in community, connecting with voters. And so Carlos, he's about election campaign reform. I'm right there with you on that one. So, so thank you for joining. I'm going to drop you off camera. You're welcome to stay in studio. And thanks for the time. And thanks for always, chiming in and being part of the conversation and the dialogue. And I know privately you and I, we battle on some stuff, but I appreciate to still be able to be in dialogue, even though we don't always agree on things, but you always make
That's okay. My pleasure.
so I do appreciate that. All right, so I'm gonna drop you off camera. All right. And then there were only two. So I'm gonna jump to you, Rich. So what does your name say on the ballot?
My name says Lee R. Charley.
Okay, so Lee. So I should be calling you Lee, not Rich.
Well, it's weird. I've never gone by Lee. I'm named after my grandfather, Lee Kennebrew, and so we're just going with it.
All right. So what is one thing that you would like to share with that either you don't get an opportunity to be able to express in these forums or whatever, or one thing that you really want to get to voters?
I think you saw yesterday, every day people are calling me from all over the city asking for help to get the homeless off the streets. I do that every day. I just got off a phone call and I'm getting 2 people into transitional housing on Wednesday. So I'm kind of a walking multi-service center. What I mean by that is people go to the multi-service center and fall flat. And we're spending millions and millions of dollars. I'm not getting paid $1, but I was formerly chronically homeless, and I know what it takes and who to call and the right words to ask an unhoused person. And I'm having great success. So homeless is a big issue, but I think people don't understand the issue is, do you know, Jerlene, how hard it is to get into the housing that every candidate's talking about?
I have actually worked for a nonprofit organization that provided housing for veterans. And it's specifically within the population of veterans, it's a very bureaucratic process that a person has to go through in order to be able to be eligible for housing, or even whether it's transitional housing or permanent housing or short-term housing, there's still a process. So I'm actually I'm familiar with that with the veteran population. So I see you trying to hold it up.
But no.
So
what I'm trying to say is,
it is.
I'm just trying to say is, like, you have to have a valid ID, You have to have Social Security, birth certificate. If you have a military, it has to be valid. Then you have to have 2 W-2s. And that gets you on a waiting list maybe for 8 years into housing. And so then you're on a pool, so temporary housing. But when you get that voucher, they don't pay for your first month's rent, your last month's rent deposit, your phone bill, $250 for electric bill. So a lot of people even get vouchers, which is only, I think right now it's $1,300 or $1,400. So I want to start raising awareness that you can't just build more housing and that's going to solve homelessness. That's a logical fallacy. And most of the unhoused don't choose to get attacked by coyotes, live with the rats, but they just have given up. So they formed their own community. And a lot of our homeless want to go home. They don't want to be here anymore. So that's why I want to have a street paper that takes 300 to 500 unhoused into vendors. They live life on life's terms. A street paper, which I volunteered for, and the contributor in Nashville and in Seattle, and you can do it. That gives 300 to 500 people that are wanting to work, that want to live life on life's terms, and we're not using our tax dollars. That's going to free up 500 unhoused, where we can then we can start. So a street paper for the unhoused is my big thing. And I've actually worked on a street paper.
Well, I hope that, you're keeping track of all these ideas and the processes, so that, when no matter who wins the race, that you have something that you can share with, whether it's you or someone else in that office, with these different recommendations to be able to serve our homeless our homeless population. So thank you for joining.
I've tried for 2 years with Mary, and I still haven't got an email. So maybe we'll have better luck with myself or Salgado, because don't email Mary. You'll never get a response.
Okay, I'm cutting you off now, Lee. I'm cutting you off. Look, only person who can talk crap about candidates is me.
Oh.
And tonight is not my talk crap night.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Tonight is my be nice to everybody. So, and Joshua, you were making fun of my faces. Have you been looking at Lee's? He makes more animated faces than I do. So thank you, Lee. I'm going to drop you off camera. You're welcome to stay in studio.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. All right. It's just you and I. It looks like everybody oh no, they're still here hanging out in the studio. We could talk afterwards when it's all said and done. So Josh, and you're a very interesting candidate. And can you hear? Oh wait. Okay.
No, I'm saying crazy. Right?
Oh no. No, I'm not gonna say that. We all got a little bit of crazy though. So I know that you are very, and I think we've had some dialogue about your kind of a very pro-police stance. Just in listening to the different things that the other candidates were speaking on, how does that resonate with you? And what's that one, if you kind of tie together, what's the one message that you want to get out to voters?
So we'll start with the first part. So policing, again, it is a big aspect to reducing crime, dissuading criminals. Again, it's not the only part of my platform. Public safety also involves good lighting throughout the city. Again, programs to stop people from going back to jail, into prison, or getting back into criminal behaviors, like job programs. I think we've lost track of trade jobs, plumbing, welding. These jobs are essential. So it's not that we only need police, but we need police right now, because we're low staffed in the city. We have 31 units for 51 square miles, and most of the officers end up in the north and in the District 9. And so people want to feel safe in the city, and businesses want to feel safe here. So we also need that protection to bring businesses back. Now, the second part, the homeless crisis. So I agree with Lee. I think we need to find different programs, working with nonprofits. And one thing that I know that you disagree with me on is I mentioned the National Guard. And a lot of people don't know the National Guard actually have civil engineers that can build shelters. And I think a lot of the focus, so I'll give you an example. Rick Russo, that's running for LA mayor, is also proposing this idea, because we need the manpower to go through the entire county and screen the homeless people that are on the street right now that can't take care of themselves. They fall under 5150, And so we can triage these people and get them into shelters, and the National Guard can help us build the shelters. They can help with transport. Again, we're not trying to put people in prison or in jail, but when we free up the spaces in the shelters here in Long Beach, that will allow us to bring we should be doing this in tandem anyway, the nonprofits and the multi-service center to house the people that are left. Because what are people really tired of? People are being, you can go through Instagram all day long, next door, people having poop smeared on their windows, people jumping on them, trying to rape them in broad daylight. And again, is it criminal activity or is it mental illness? We'll never know unless, actually mostly mentally ill or drug induced, but we'll never be able to keep people safe if we can't have these people in houses and get them the medicine that they need. I think you're muted. You're muted.
Was that inclusive of the one thing that you want to make sure that people are aware of, or
in terms of what?
Of like the one thing that you want voters to know about you? Is that is that inclusive of that, what you just shared?
Well, again, my stance is public safety, because the jobs of government are public safety and infrastructure. We're supposed to take care of those two things, and anything that's left over. And again, this city brings in so much money that a lot of the things are within its grasp, but we're misspending money, we're mismanaging things. We look at the Queen Mary, we spent $25 million and it's just into the toilet. And what needs to change is just to give you my stance on the Queen Mary, yes, I want to preserve it, but we need to maintain it for now and focus on the things that we need for the city, for the citizens, for the taxpayers, for the residents. And streets, libraries, parks, all these things are more important to me than the Queen Mary.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And one thing that I've noticed, or I've observed, I mean, not just about you, but many of the candidates have been kind of consistent in their messaging. We do have a few candidates that are, that are going to be omnipotent and do everything to fix everything all at once. So I want to say I appreciate your consistency. And from the very first time that I met you at the candidates meet and greet at Dan Pressburg's home, and that was our first meeting. So I applaud you for being consistent and standing your ground on public safety. So I'm going to shut it down. Just a few things had wanted to share. Josh, if you like, please stay in the studio. And when I come off, I'll be able to chat with you all. So I'm going to take you off camera for right now. So thank you for joining. Right, and where are
Jerlene,
you?
thank you for letting me join. And I had to jump off because I had to watch my son, and so I'll watch it on the live for Facebook.
All right,
Everyone,
thank you. I appreciate you for being here. Thank you.
All right, God bless you.
Okay, people. So for anyone who just had an opportunity, we just met a few of the candidates. 7th District City Council candidate Carlos Ovalle, 1st District candidate Lee Charley, mayoral candidates Deb Mozer and Joshua Rodriquez. So I just wanted to take an opportunity, because I have been, sharing my thoughts about the different candidates. And I'm like, okay, let me create space so these candidates can come in and talk to people who are viewing, folks who do not have opportunities to go out to these meet and greets, or who are not in spaces and places or circles where they're able to connect with different people running. I'm going to do this a few more times where people can come in and just be able to just check in. Nothing formal, it's not a debate. It's not a forum. It's just an opportunity to be in dialogue and community with people. And I think that that's really important. One thing that I've been feeling in this campaign season is the divisions that are being created within our community, and the divisiveness that is taking place. And it's on multiple levels. It's on levels of socioeconomics. It's on a race. It's on gender. I mean, it's all happening all at the same time. And it's really so. And what's scaring me is like what happens when this election is over? What happens when someone wins? And what kind of healing is going to take place in our community to resolve these different rifts that are happening. And I mean, I know personally, I'm getting crap for different things, because people are like, well, you didn't say this, or you should say this, or why did you share this? Well, I'm just one person, right? I'm just one person. And, you know, I've been very honest and direct with people. I'm not going to share who I think you should vote for right now, right? Because or who I think I should vote for. I'm not going to share that information. I did make one proclamation last week on the first district council office. I did make one proclamation on that, and that one I stand by. But I'll share more on that later. But anyway, thank you, people who have been chiming in. A couple things. If you go to I think it's lavote.net, you can see when your mail-in ballot was mailed to you if you have not received it. Remember that that there's going to be voting centers opening up in the last week of May. So if you want to vote early, check out all these different people on social media. Check them out on their website. Check them out on their campaign trail, meet and greets, coffees, whatever you get an opportunity to. I'm going to post on my page some things that are coming up this week. I believe there's some campaign opportunities tomorrow to learn about candidates. Again, thank you for everyone. I'm going to head and shut this down. I will be back sooner than later to continue the conversation on campaign finance. And I will be putting aside time just to talk about the LB Unified School District race, because that is a race that is very important to me as an advocate of parents, Black parents, Black children. That race is very important to me. So again, thank you. I'm going to drop the live feed now. Jerlene Tatum, all Politricks are local. I'm a mama with a voice, talk of the town, and thank you for joining.